We're going to go ahead and get started today. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jamie Phelps and I am the Client Success Lead here at Voyant. Today we'll be modeling term life and disability insurance policies. We're going to be looking at the Canadian software today. And by the end of this session, you'll be able to assess your client's coverage needs, enabling you to provide customized, comprehensive advice. We'll also cover how to effectively present and communicate the importance of having these strategies in place to protect against unexpected life events. Please note that this session is being recorded and we will send out a recording within 24 hours of when the webinar concludes. We won't be taking live questions during the session, but feel free to reach out to me at support@planwithvoyant.com if you have any questions afterwards. Today we're going to be looking at the Montrose family. There are going to be a couple in their mid-40s. With a young child, and we'll be examining two key scenarios. The first is going to be a term life insurance need, ensuring that they have enough coverage to financially protect their spouse and child in the event of an untimely death, and disability insurance, which will be exploring the need for disability insurance in case they are unable to work for an extended period. Let's start by modeling the term life insurance scenario. We're going to go over to our what if section. Here in the middle right-hand side, I'm going to select that and we're going to create a what if scenario called term life recommendations. We're going to create this plan. And once we do that, you're going to notice that the name of the plan has now changed in the top right corner. So anytime you create a what if scenario, you'll be able to switch back and forth between plans here in the top right. You can switch to the base plan by simply clicking on the name and then back into your what if scenario by again simply clicking on the name. So you want to make sure that you're in the correct plan when you're making changes as you move along. So the first thing I want to do is move over to our insights section, and we're going to run a life needs insight on this couple's plan. What I want to determine is how much life insurance each of the members of the couple would need in the event of an untimely death. So we're going to run the insight. And what this is going to do is the system will simulate mortalities in year 2 of the plan, giving us insights into what the financial picture looks like if one spouse were to pass unexpectedly. Software calculates the amount each spouse would need to cover to ensure their family can maintain their current standard of living. So we're going to get a couple of numbers here. You can see Jen has an additional life insurance need of a little over $1 million, and Jean has an additional life insurance need of a little over $940,000. If you want to look at the different charts, the first one we can see is an early mortality scenario for Jen. This is simulating Jen passing away at age 50. What the software does is it stops all of her employment income and all of the contributions going into her various pensions and investment accounts, and it keeps the expenses in the plan relatively the same. If she has any personal expenses that were solely in her name, it would drop those expenses out of the plan, but any joint expenses are going to be maintained in the plan. And if you want to see the details of what the scenario is doing, you can click year view, scroll over to that second year where everything is changing, and you can click on the expenses. You'll notice everything moving into the spouse's name, including all of the investments. Any investments that were solely in the spouse's name will move into the surviving spouse. Any contributions will end, and that will only grow with just the remaining balance in place. Same for the pensions. And then the death benefit will be applied to the surviving spouse. And then same for the other spouse. If you want to review their chart, you can just simply click over to the surviving spouse and do the same thing with your view there. What I want to do is add a couple of term life policies based on the numbers I'm seeing here. You can review this yourself and based on what you feel is appropriate, make recommendations to them. I'm going to go back to my dashboard and enter in a couple of term life policies that I want to recommend. And let's say I just want to be extra careful since they have a young child. Let me just enter in Jen's term life policy. We're going to do a personal policy, and it's going to be a 20-year term. The benefit amount is going to be, let's say, a little over $1 million. And then a monthly premium of $75. And let's save and add another, and we'll do one for Jean and Same thing, Jean's term life policy. This is going to be personal. And we'll do a benefit amount. Let's just bump it up a little bit to make sure we have all of our bases covered. So we'll do $1 million, about the same amount. So we'll click, make sure that Jen is the beneficiary. Make sure and go back and do the same thing for Jen. So you'll want to assign the beneficiary to be the spouse in most cases, and you can assign different beneficiaries here if you need to. And click Done to save. And then you can go back and rerun the insight and just make sure that if you want to run the simulation for your client, you can always run this with them in the room with you with the policies in place, and you can show them what would happen in the event of an untimely mortality. You can show them the life insurance being in place, helping their spouse maintain the same quality of life. The next thing I want to do is take a look at some disability insurance needs. I'm going to switch back to my base plan, and let's just first take a look at what a disability event would look like in their plan. So to do this, I'm going to go to my timeline and I'm going to drop in a disability event into their plan. Let's go to our timeline and go to the plus button and select events. In events, we have some special events, and what makes them special is that they actually produce an outcome in the plan. So under disability, let's apply a disability event in the plan. Let's say at age 50, we are going to simulate Jen experiencing a disability event, and I want to save and add another, and we'll have that disability event end at age 53. Let's take a look at what that does to their plan. Okay, we can see that the retirement goal has gone from 100% met to 99%. Not horrible, but what exactly is happening? So we have 1 year of a little bit of shortfall at the very end. Click turn on the details, and I can see when this disability event occurs that we are covering their expenses, but if I hover over those years, they're having to pull from their non-registered savings. So their employment income from Jean, who is still working, is not enough to cover their total need. And that total need is reflected there in that black line. That light blue is what they're pulling from their non-registered savings. And you can see that in the first year, it's a little under 50,000. In the second year, it's a little over 40, and in the third, it's a little over 40. We've got 3 years where they're having to pull from their non-registered investments, and that's leading down the line to a little bit of shortfall later on. Let's create a what-if scenario where we have a contingency plan for this. So disability recommendations, create this plan. And I'm going to input a policy recommendation for them. Again, we're going to go to our insurance tab. We're going to have a disability policy in place. Let's say Jen's disability policy. And we're going to do a premium of $250. And you're going to put in a recommended coverage amount. Let's say $50,000 and a duration. Again, you're just going to put in the policy outline of the policy you're recommending, and then under timing, how long that policy is going to be in place. And then we're going to click Done to save. And now I'm going to drop in, make sure that disability event is still in there. So yes, it is. And then now if I go to Let's See, we're going to compare plans and do the chart view. So let's take a look at these two plans against each other. If I turn on the details, you can see in this base plan here at the bottom, we're pulling money from the non-registered account during that disability event. But in this top plan where we have the disability recommendations here in green, we're pulling money from the insurance policy. So we're leaving the non-registered account alone, and we don't have this shortfall here at the end. That is good. And then also, if we look at our assets chart, you can see here that we're also seeing a difference in the assets at the end of the plan. So if you hover over the assets at the end of the plan, they have 1.2 million in assets left at the end of their plan with this disability recommendation plan, where we're leaving their investments alone, and in this plan, they're fully depleted by mortality. This is how you can further demonstrate the value of your advice and why having an emergency plan like a disability policy in place can really benefit them down the line. I hope this demonstration was helpful in understanding how to model term life and disability insurance in Voyant to safeguard your client's financial well-being. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out to me at support@planwithvoyant.com. You can also send me a plan that you're working on if you'd like me to look over it or have any questions about it. You can click the name of your client in the top right, request support, enter your question into the text box, and share client access. That'll send me a link to where I can open the plan. I'd be happy to set up a one-on-one time to help you with a client that you're working on or prep you for a presentation. And I appreciate you joining today's webinar, and thank you for joining.